I was instantly hooked with episode 1 of Reincarnated as a sword, but episode 2 honestly takes it up a notch. Clearly, master, sensei, teacher over here, the sword, is going to be best father figure. I mean, episode 1 very much indicated that, and episode 1 was kind of his episode to shine. With episode 2, Fran kind of steals the driver's seat and basically cruises on cruise control and just slices and dices and immediately makes you love the adorable bundle of energy that is Fran. But when you see the discrimination that her people deal with, and then to see the end of the episode where she takes no bullshit anymore. This mage sword wielder is going to kick ass and take names. And if you tell her not to draw your sword because it would be bad to do in a guild, she will listen to you because she respects you. But it doesn't mean she won't use magic that will cut the literal legs off of this scumbag cat, and that was savage to say the least. So it seems what's going to be happening with the release of this show, because yesterday episode 2 came out alongside episode 1 if you're watching it on High Dive. So what seems to be happening is the streaming service Bilibili seems to have gotten the episodes 1 week earlier than they actually air in Japan, where High Dive gets it the same day Japan gets it. So there's obviously some contract shenanigans at play, but like I said, if subtitles are good, I'm going to use whatever is available. There's no use waiting for episode 2 next week, when obviously so many people are going to be discussing episode 2, obviously when it usually comes out, which was yesterday. It's just, I've been sicker than a dog the past week, and I was literally dying just doing 2 videos yesterday, so I decided to push this one to today here. But it was great to see just how polished this episode truly was, right? Because I think when you look at the general aesthetic of this show, it feels isekai, from the character designs to the overall magic systems and how they're animating certain things. But I can't be the only one who was just shocked at the sheer quality that episode 2 presented, just visually alone. Not to mention great character moments, comedy moments, and action set pieces as well. I mean, if you just look at the general background, there was so many shots that honestly just impressed me. It didn't feel like a random fill-in shot, so, we're entering a new city. And I was like, holy shit, this feels like it's going to be the main location that a show would be in, because they're detailing it as if it's an important location. But as far as we know, it could just be a random stop that she goes to once in a while as she adventures on and basically raises up the ranks of her adventurer title. As we see, she's going to clearly be OP. Not only is she able to do chantless magic from their point of view, because obviously the sword, 2 brains, as they say, like there's no way someone could swing a sword, cast magic unless they have 2 brains. We obviously know she kind of does. But even with now her official status, the fact that she was such a quick learner that she could use that kind of like air cutter magic that sliced off someone's feet that casually, in such a comedic yet brutal way. This girl's going to be a menace, but it's interesting how they initially start the episode to really get us to understand that her people clearly are not loved in this world. The fact that they're seen as the lesser of their species, right? They can't evolve, and just seeing just casually her parents die next to her in a silhouette fashion, you get a sense that this girl has suffered so damn long, and her thirst for power doesn't come from a heroic standpoint, doesn't come from a revenge standpoint. It comes from a standpoint of wanting to live up to what maybe your family never could do, but wishing if you had that power, you could have changed their fate, sort of a thing. And I really like that about her character, because she ranges from an adorable moe blob with just her, honestly, childlike innocence, to an absolute sword-swinging machine that just is kicking ass and taking names. It's not often you can have a Hellboy-looking character who can radiate that much fiery heat, and once you defeat this guy, he just gives you a thumbs up underneath the rubble, right? It's just great to see how it immediately made you love the characters in the first episode. Like I said in my first episode video, there's not a lot to go off with Fran from what we saw in episode 1, because she was a slave, she was freed, and she had some cool moves. It was most definitely the swords kind of episode, and immediately I thought it was an interesting concept that made me love his personality. Episode 2, however, really gets us to understand who Fran is as a person, and I love how she can be so anime, so cute and adorable, but so savagely badass. But it doesn't come across as like an edgelord because she just wants to kill for the sake of it. More so, if there's ever been people who deserve to get basically their neck snapped, as seen by episode 1 with the slave trader, to having their legs cut apart because they were just racist pieces of shit. This show gives people what they deserve, and I think that's one of the more refreshing aspects about the show, is that people get what they deserve. If they're scumbag slave traders or just they're trying to steal someone's nearly 2 million yen, I mean, at that point, we can't shake hands and sing Kumbaya. We gotta just honestly probably kill them. And I love how the entire guild just is kind of going hip hip hooray because she took care of, clearly, the people who have been assholes for so long. I actually really like Nell, the kind of the desk keeper who basically will give you the money if you exchange items or will take you to the training spots, and the fact that she has such a brutal mentality. She literally is wishing death upon so many people in there, and the fact that she ends up slipping up by the end of the episode after the slap was just comedy gold. And I like how this show, because comedies to me, especially with the fantasy isekai market, I think comedies just work so well because there's so much you can parody, there's so much you can go in a more comedic, if not brutal direction that you're just not used to seeing. Usually with a situation like this, yeah, people might get their asses kicked, but you're not going to see legs cut apart, and you're not going to see, honestly, some funny reactions when you see that type of brutality. But you can see how a show like Reincarnated as a Sword can use that to its comedy advantage to almost make fun of some of those shows that maybe take themselves too seriously, but still show you the serious elements while being funny all in the process. And I truly think this production is holding up strong. Yes, we're only 2 episodes in, but generally, the first episodes will look the best of any show. Episodes after that will look fine because they're not struggling, but they usually don't keep up the same quality as maybe the first episode. But I'd argue episode 2 did just that. There was great action scenes, some fun animation techniques, but most importantly, it just felt like there was detail both on the character designs and the world that matched the quality one for one. And this show really feels like it knows what it's doing, and like I've said over multiple isekai video series, I do think isekai in general are more interesting right now because we're not just adapting the same thing anymore, because obviously if something explodes, whether that's, a shield hero, whether that's a Sword Art Online in the more fantasy trapped in a video game market, right? If that explodes, then anime production teams will then want to adapt similar things. But we're in the process now, because so much anime is being made, we're not just adapting the same things, we're getting Reincarnated as a Sword. We're getting Reincarnated as vending machines, right? You have the stuff that you recognize, but there's also these fresh elements that allows for these stories that maybe have familiar elements to other shows, but it really doesn't feel like a copy and paste of the exact same thing we've seen before. And that's what I really like about anime right now, especially in the isekai market, because I used to be someone who enjoyed once in a while an isekai, but the past few years, man, just shows like these just get me so excited because they're funny, they're brutal, but they have a character arc that you want to follow. And in this case, it's a girl who literally was discriminated against, lost everything, was a slave, and now is going to rise up and have that power to probably change the world so what she suffered through, most likely people similar to her won't have to. And you have this sword who doesn't come across as like a creepy pervert who just wants to be like, ooh, I'm getting cuddled, so therefore, she's all mine. It comes across more as like a father-daughter duo, and I really like the refreshing take that they're doing with. I think the voice actors are hitting it out of the park. Definitely FRAN'S stole the show this week, but obviously Sensei isn't anything to shy away from either. But thoughts and feelings on episode 2 of Reincarnated as a Sword. You gonna keep up with this one? Do you like it as much as myself, or do you have a different opinion? Do let me know. Leave a like if you enjoyed and subscribe if you're new around here. So until next time, everyone, please take care and have a good one.